So I have this awesome section in my Discord called VIP members, and it's where any YouTube member can talk back and forth with me. They ask a bunch of different questions about builds and why I choose X thing for certain builds, and then we just randomly talk about anything Destiny related. Different weapon rolls and what we've got, all kinds of things. Well, longtime member Cipher asked me to take a look at a build. He was running an onslaught, so I copied the dim link, set it all up, and let me tell you, I have had an absolute blast playing this over the past week, and that might even be an understatement. Now, I did switch a few things up with the build that I thought played better within the build, including an aspect, fragment, and some mods, but the core of it was there, and thank you for that, Cipher. It made me remember why I started my channel to begin with, and that was to share builds within Destiny 2, and hopefully make the game more enjoyable when you all play it with different builds on different characters. Well, this build did just that for me, and I really do appreciate it, so thank you. Also, if you are a YouTube member and you want to run some Legend Onslaughts with me, in the VIP section of the Discord, just at me with your Bungie ID and let me know you want to run sometime. I'll add you as a friend, and then when I'm on playing over the next few weeks, I'll send you an invite and we'll get some runs in together. And thank you guys for the extra support. I really do appreciate it. And hopefully doing some runs together really does show that. Now, the reason I was having such a blast with this build is the options you have of how you choose to play it. You can either spam your big slam consecration to clear waves of enemies with ignitions, or just sit back and mow through every wave because we have a juiced up weapon that shreds everything in sight. It scorches on hit, leaves sunspots and ignitions in its wake. You get your super so fast thanks to the outgoing damage you deal with the exotic weapon, and you have infinite restoration and radiant up at 15 seconds pretty much all the time. I have been farming Legend Onslaught with this, even in LFGs, and it's been a very enjoyable time, so I wanted to share it with you all. Now, this all starts on the Solar Titan with our two aspects, and that is Consecration and Sol Invictus. Consecration is the big Titan slam that you leap into the air and slam to the ground. You just slide, hit your melee ability. This does the uppercut that scorches everything in your path, and then you hit your melee again in the air, and you'll slam to the ground, igniting everything in front of you. This is an ad clearing machine, and we can loop this pretty much infinitely if that's what you want to do. We also take Sol Invictus. Solar ability Final Blows will leave a sunspot. This means that melee ability will create a sunspot. Our weapons will create sunspots because we do scorch on hit, and any scorch target that is defeated will create a sunspot. And then when that sunspot is there, it also applies scorch and deals damage to targets, and then entering that sunspot applies restoration to you as well. And sunspots are actually really strong in Onslaught since you can funnel enemies where you want them to go, and sunspots are just going to tick damage over and over on the whole groups of enemies, and it just helps your ad clear tremendously. We pair this with Healing Grenade, so when we throw that, we grant restoration to ourselves and our fire team. So you have two ways of gaining restoration. That's through your Healing Grenade or a Sunspot, and you need to remember that because we do want to keep restoration up all the time. Now, to pair with our melee Consecration Slam ability, the first fragment we take is Ember of Torches. Powered melee attacks against combatants make you and nearby allies radiant. So now we can give restoration through our Healing Grenade and radiant through our melee, which is a 25% weapon damage boost to all our weapons. And we can push this up to 15 seconds and keep it up all the time. The way we do that is with Ember of Empyrean. Solar weapon or ability Final Blows extend the duration of restoration and radiant effects applied to you. In Onslaught, this is super easy to keep up even in Legend difficulty. The reason this is so easy is you can just throw that Healing Grenade on the ground in front of you, then do your big Titan slam through it, and hit a group of enemies, and you'll instantly proc radiant and restoration up to 15 seconds from that one slam. Then it's just get kills with your solar weapon, and we have a really powerful one to do that with that will chain both of these for us infinitely. And then it's up to you when you choose to use that Consecration Slam after that. For the last two fragments, we pair it with Ember of Searing. Defeating scorched targets grants melee energy and creates a fire sprite. We get a nice bonus to our grenade ability when we pick up those fire sprites, but we also get melee energy when we defeat those scorched targets. Since our melee is scorching, and our weapon is scorching, and our sunspots are scorching, pretty much anything we kill is giving us melee ability energy, and that just feeds Consecration. But we're not done there. The last fragment we take is Ember of Benevolence. Applying Restoration, Cure, or Radiant to your allies increases our grenade, melee, and class ability regeneration. This is a 6-second buff, and remember, our Healing Grenade procs Restoration, and our Consecration Slam procs Radiant, and we give both those to our allies. So you should have Ember of Benevolence up quite often, and that's a 400% increase in ability regen to our melee, class ability, and grenade. This is great in keeping our grenade up all the time, that Healing Grenade, but then it just stacks on top of Ember of Searing. So now we have Benevolence giving us melee ability back, and we have defeating any scorched targets gives us melee ability back. Now the exotic weapon we're going to pair with this is Tommy's Matchbook. This got buffed a couple seasons ago, and of course this is a solar centric season with the artifact, so make sure you have all those solar artifact mods on, like Kindling Trigger, Flint Striker, Torch, and even Raise of Precision, because it's just going to buff this weapon weapon up even stronger. But the burn that Tommy's matchbook does to you now has been nerfed a little bit over the last couple seasons, and 1 stack of restoration now counteracts the burn when you're hip firing this weapon. And since we can keep restoration up all the time, we can counter that. Well, Tommy's matchbook hits like a truck. We can just lay down the trigger on it, and we're buffing its damage with Radiant, which is the 25% weapon damage boost we get from our melee ability that we have up all the time, and through triple solar weapon surge, which just gives us another 22% damage boost on top of that. And it's an exotic primary weapon, so it gets the 40% damage buff to red bar enemies. So any red bar enemy in legend difficulty just gets melted by this thing, as you can see from the gameplay. But to make it even better, we pair it with an exotic that I don't think I've ever done a build on, which is why I probably enjoyed this build so much, and that's Actium War Rig on the Titan. This steadily reloads a portion of your equipped auto rifles or machine guns magazine from reserves, basically meaning you can just sit there and hold down the trigger when using Tommy's matchbook or a heavy machine gun. And guess what, we got an Onslaught this week. The new Hammerhead machine gun came back, right? So when you get one with that rampage and killing tally or whatever role you're looking for, you can just hold down the trigger even with rampage and killing tally, and Actium War Rig reloads that for you. So it's just a super nice pairing between Tommy's matchbook and a heavy machine gun. And then I kind of got into a rhythm when my Tommy's matchbook would get down to like 30 or 20 bullets left. If I then went and did a consecration slam on a group of enemies, by the time I was finished with that and had my weapon back out to fire it, my Tommy's matchbook would be pretty much reloaded after that. So a nice little combo you can do there. Now our mods are just going to enhance this build even further. On the helmet, we take a hands-on to get bonus super energy from those big consecration slams. I take a harmonic siphon to spawn orbs of power with Tommy's matchbook, and a void siphon to spawn orbs of power with Hammerhead. Now on your arms, you're going to take a heavy-handed, so we can create an orb of power with that melee ability. Impact induction, causing damage with a powered melee attack, reduces your grenade, and then we take Focusing Strike, grants class ability energy when you cause damage with a powered melee attack. I do like pairing this with Rally Barricade, because when you're sitting there holding down the trigger with Tommy's matchbook or your heavy machine gun, you get 10% increased damage fall off distance, 50% flinch resistance, and 30 stability. And you also get an extra 100 reload speed. So it does a lot for your weapon when you're sitting there bunkering down just firing. On the chest piece, this is just your damage reduction, so match whatever activities you're doing. Then on the boots, we already went over, but that is triple solar weapon surge. Then on the class item, we take time dilation, so it makes that armor charge last 15 seconds instead of 10. We'll take a Reaper mod, so we can create an extra orb of power on a weapon kill after we use our barricade, and you want to be using that rally barricade a lot with this build. And then a bomber just to get some extra grenade coming back when you do pop that class ability. For stats on the build, aim for 100 resilience. That's the only one you really need to hit with this build. And then if you can, push your discipline up to 100 with the build. So I hope you guys keep enjoying builds and trying them out, and I'll see you guys all in the next video. Have a great rest of your day, and thank you so much for watching. I really appreciate it.